Tonight's episode of Cocktails with Tiki King is brought to you by Old Pipe Cleaner Scotch. Remember, when you need to get in the bag, drink the scotch that's aged in the bag. Old Pipe Cleaner.
We love rum and whiskey too, but mighty sweet. Beer and wine are surely fine, but gin is hard to beat. Oh, about the gin, about the gin. Mix them up and let's begin. Oh, not 3 times. We'll let you in for about the gin. About the gin, about the gin. Lock me up, it is my sin. Oh, bail me out. We'll start again with about the gin. You know, my friends, they love to watch clubs and parties and laugh and shout, but there's one thing that'll keep them in, that's bathtub gin. Oh, bathtub gin, mix them up and let's begin. Oh, not 3 times, let you in for bathtub gin. Bathtub gin, lock me up, it is my sin. Oh, bail me out, start again. Oh, bathtub gin. Not 3 times, we let you in for the bathtub gin. Not 3 times, we'll let you in for the bathtub.
We'll let you in. Let me, hold on. Oh. There we go. Here we are. It's Tuesday. Welcome to episode 14 of Cocktails with Tiki King, the episode in which I dropped my notes on the floor. And so I should start out this week, say, hey, welcome. You. Welcome to the show. Thanks for coming. Thanks for spending your Tuesday nights with me. I know I like it, because if I didn't spend Tuesday night with me, that would be a weird thing, because who would I spend it with? I'd be floating in the void for a change. So hey, thanks for coming. Thanks for being here with me. Tonight's a very special episode. It's the not safe for work episode. I'm probably going to be swearing. I'm probably going to be saying, I'm going to be dropping F-bombs. So if you have small children in the room, you might want to rethink your life choices. No, you can say to them, hey, say to them, you can say to them, look, Uncle Tiki King is not usually this verbose in his languitude. And then you la 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 like that over their ear. Well, but put over their ears, because you doing it, then you wouldn't hear what I was saying. So here we are. What are we doing tonight? What's the deal? Why did I ask you to come here? Why? I wrote it down so I wouldn't have to remember. But I'm going to keep it a secret. Anyway, no. So tonight we're going to talk about something that's near to me. It's actually right down here. I can see it. But so earlier, my producer Maggie was talking about keywords and such, and she said that it's important because someday someone might want to watch my show. So today is not that day. But what is today? Why are we here? What are we doing? Well, I know that it's Cocktails with Tiki King, but I spell it wrong because it's not about the cocktails necessarily. It's not about mixing up the boozes, because we can do that. But that's not what life's about all the time. Not all the time. Sometimes. Most of the time. I mean, 20 out of 24 hours a day it is, but not this particular portion of the hour. Because today we're going to talk about beer. I know, people are like, but Tiki King, it's called Cocktails with Tiki King, not Beer with Tiki King. And if that's causing you a problem, perhaps you should be drinking and not pondering the great mysteries of why I do what I do. But, so, beer. I've talked about this before. You guys, people who come out and see me when I'm out on the road, they're like, you drink that terrible beer. Why do you drink terrible beer? You're always drinking cheap beer. Here's the thing I drink cheap beer. I'm not ashamed to admit that I do, because I like it. And that's the thing. Last week, Hunter S. Thompson Day, we were drinking Wild Turkey, and I kept on going. I'm sorry if I left you guys out, but Thompson said, good people drink good beer. But the thing that he didn't define is what is good. What is it? Good people, good beer. What does that mean? To me, I'll tell you, you'll see me. I'll drink. I'll drink whatever beer is available. Free beer, stolen beer, whatever. You hand it to me. Generally, if it's cold, I'm going to drink it. If it's warm, I'm going to drink it. It's beer. Why not? But if you want to know, so my favorite beer. People say to me, they say, Tiki King, what is your favorite beer? And I'm going to tell you right now. My favorite beer is called Sheaf Stout, and it's made in Australia. It's a stout. It's really, 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 it's really, really, really good. It used to be called Tooth Sheaf Stout, and someday I'll do an episode where I'll talk about the party that lasted for 3 days that ended up on the roof drinking Tooth Sheaf Stout. But that today is not that day. So today we're going to talk about cheap beer and drinking from the skull of your enemy. No, that'll be another show, and we'll do that, and we will drink from the skulls of our enemies. And if actually, on tour this year, I may be bringing the skull of my enemy, and if you're there and I'm there and we're there and the skull's there, we'll all drink from it. So you be ready for that, because I may pass it to you. And if you go, I don't want to drink from a human skull, you'll be thwarted at an unknown time. So beer, Tooth Sheaf Stout. That's my favorite. I like Guinness. Guinness is a fine beer. I've been known to drink quite a bit of it. I'm not real fond of bitter IPAs and stuff. I'm not a real hop fan. If you're into hoppy beers, that's good. Good for you. Enjoy them. That's what I say. That's what this whole show's about. Enjoy it. Enjoy it. But I'll tell you, and I used to drink a lot of Anchorstein back in the day, in the Hell House days. Someday we'll talk about the Hell House. Those of you who know about the Hell House, you already know. But we drank a lot of, in the Hell House. It was Anchorstein was always the beer of choice. But so beer, I drink Bud Light and Lime, but I also drink one of my favorite beers. Strange enough, Mickey's Big Mouth, and I'll tell you, there's a couple reasons. Because it's malt liquor, malt liquor gets you there quicker. And malt liquor, that goes back way punk rock days. When I was a bike messenger, I'll tell you, we would work hard all day and we'd drink beer all day long. And then when we got off work, time for malt liquor, we'd go down to Stinky Jack's, and he'd be in there with his fingers in the pickle barrel. And we'd come in, we'd buy Old English 800, a bag of Funyuns. And I'll tell you, we'd go sit in a parking lot, and when we do bike tricks, no, messengers don't do that. We would drink malt liquor, because it's good. Maybe not, but it gets you there. And that was what was important at the time was, when you spend the day working hard and drinking hard, sometimes you need to drink even harder after work to take the edge off of all that drinking during the day. I probably shouldn't talk about that. But sometimes it's not about the quality of the drink. Sometimes it's about, just going for it. I mean, you just, I've drankening from time to time. Warm gin out of a flask and woke up on the I-80 in the back of the station wagon. But that's not what I'm here to talk to you about. I'm here to talk about that sometimes you need a really good single malt, and you need a comfy chair and a roaring fire. But today is not that. Today is about cheap beer, because Aaron, if he's out there, if Aaron's watching, Aaron was in a band years ago, and there was a drummer who was from Ireland, and the drummer would always drink Mickey's Big Mouth. Drank Mickey's Big Mouth. And Aaron said, Jim, why? Why do you drink it? It's terrible. Why do you drink Mickey's Big Mouth? Aren't you from Ireland? Don't you drink Guinness? And he said, it's cheap, and it gets me fucked up. And I thought, those are kind of words to live by sometimes. Because sometimes drinking is a tool for mischief. And I'm not sure that high-end booze fits mischief. Sometimes, you can't sit and sip your snifter, seize your knees and sneeze. You can't sit in a big comfy leather chair by the fire drinking 50-year-old single malt and get into mischief. It just doesn't, it's more about reading poetry or something. But if you want to get into mischief, cheap beer. So I thought, coming back around to where we started, So tonight's episode is an ode to cheap beer, and I'm going to read a story that I wrote about drinking cheap beer. And I'm going to drink cheap beer while I read that story. And I say, if you have some cheap beer, you should drink along with me. And what I'm drinking tonight? Mickey's Big Mouth. Because it's cheap and it gets me fucked up. So, one night, some time ago, the pirates showed up at my house. It's in San Francisco. If you don't know who the pirates are, ask sometime. But the pirates showed up. I don't recall the occasion. We didn't really need one, to be honest. We began the evening by washing down some good rum with cheap beer. It seemed like the thing to do. I suggested taking the bottle of rum and climbing the Marlboro Man, a 100-foot tall billboard that back in that day used to overlook the Bay Bridge. The Marlboro Man was a destination for people like us, people who wanted to get into mischief, drink a lot, cause trouble. It was like a 10-minute climb up a slippery ladder. And when you got to the top, you could sit up there, overlooking the bay and riding that billboard as it swayed back and forth in the wind, creaking and groaning. And if, I'm not saying, but that was a good time. It's even better climbing down the slippery ladder after drinking a case of Mickey's. Anyway, so another suggestion that night was that we go to Fort Funston. Fort Funston is an old abandoned military base out on the coast. It's full of dark tunnels that smell like urine, but are nice for exploring and wandering about and lighting off M80s when people least expect it. Because the flash bang in the dark with a good buzz going, I'll tell you, it's nothing like that. They were all good ideas. But we ended up walking down to the Haight Street, went down to Haight Street and bought more beer. We bought a couple of 12 packs of I don't remember what. We wandered aimlessly. We finally settled down at a curb on Waller Street. We sat and drank, waxed philosophical, tried not to decide what to do next. This went on for a couple of hours. So there we were, minding our own business. When from out of the dark there came some hippie girl who decided that we were a party, that she was invited. We continued drinking. I don't remember why, but at some point she said she was a vegetarian. This momentarily cleared my fog. A vegetarian. It was my drunken bastard cue, and I took it. Why in God's name would you damn yourself to a mere plant matter? I asked. Or accused? Depends on how you look at it. She said something about murder and poison. And I grinned, and I said, yeah, but tasty good murder and poison. She flashed a look that said I was disgusting. Come on, I said, baring my teeth. Haven't you ever run with the dogs? I began gesturing wildly. Beer and spit flew in a fine mist. Haven't you ever taken down an antelope with your bare teeth? Fangs clamped into its neck, the taste of spurting blood. Eat and be eaten. Woof, I growled. Woof! I began barking and howling, biting at the air, jumping and turning in circles. One by one, the pirates joined in. Pretty soon, even the hippie girl was barking along with us. Then came a voice from above. Shut the fuck up or I'm calling the cops! We looked at one another. We gotta get out of here. Woof, I agreed. We could go to my place. It was the hippie girl. I didn't trust her. But not all of you, she added. My housemates might be asleep. You, and you, she said. Her last choice was a figure emerging from the darkness, wearing some sort of robes and carrying a big stick. He grinned and nodded, said nothing. I'm going home, I said. I picked up what remained of the beer and watched as the four of them headed down the street. You'll be back, I yelled after them. The rest of us then went home and finished the beer. Later I awoke to a sound and opened the eye that was not pressed against the carpet to see the other two pirates come in. How was it? I asked. Lame, they said almost in unison. We woke up the roommates and they got pissed. Woof, I grunted and sank back into the carpet. So here's the thing. That wasn't because we were sitting in an armchair drinking good booze. It's because we were drinking cheap beer and going on an adventure. And that's my challenge to you tonight. And every night. Well, you know, within your parameters. But I want you to drink cheap beer and go adventuring. And write it down. Writing it down. I can't stress this enough. You know, writing it down is really important for a couple of reasons. One, because you're probably not going to remember much of it as time wears on and as you have more adventures and you drink more cheap beer. Because sometimes, you know, you'll think back or your friends will think, that's another thing, your friends will think back and say, didn't we do something at some point? And hopefully you will be the scribe. And you can say, fuck yeah, we did something. Let me read you the story about what we did. And you can bust out some kind of weird crap like I just did. You know. So here's the thing, you know. People say cheap beer is bad beer. I say cheap beer is a tool. It's a tool for mischief. That's sometimes important. So, I think that's it for tonight's show. I'm glad you were here. I'm glad I was here. Because if I hadn't been, you'd have just been looking at the picture of the bar and wondering when the whole thing was going to start. But I want to thank you all for coming tonight, or whatever your reaction was. I want to thank you all for being here. And I know that you tune in every week, hoping that someday this will be entertaining. And as I say, my pledge to you is that you can continue to have hope that this will someday be a good show. Like I said, my producer said, someday someone may want to watch it. And we can all, that day, I'll tell you, when the day comes that we all want to watch it, I'll be there and you'll be there. And hopefully we'll have a case of Mickey's and some flaming hot Cheetos and like a, I don't know, couch and some sci-fi movies on the television. Because why not? And you could read about your adventures to me, and then the circle will be complete, and it'll be just like a Disney movie, only not safe for work one. Alrighty. So, you can now uncover your children's ears and tell them to go to bed and dream of rabid monkeys. But until that time, I'm Tiki King, and I want to say thank you all for tuning in. I want to say thank you to my producer Maggie for producing the show. I want to say thank you to my wife Julie. I want to say thank you to my family and my friends. I do have friends. I know it doesn't seem like I would, but I do. At least that's what they say, and I have to pay them, so I'm assuming that it's true. So, until next Tuesday, I'm Tiki King. This is Cocktales with Tiki King. Drink cheap beer. Go on adventures.